Everybody's been identified, and we will accept the agenda.
So move. I'll second it.
Okay, unanimously. Minutes, approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'm sorry.
I move approval.
Meeting. This is my first one. I thought y'all were in there.
No, for general meeting. General
Yes,
meeting.
sir.
Here.
I apologize.
That's all right. Come on in.
Come on
You're
in.
next. It's my first one.
That's all right.
That's fine. Maybe your last, you know.
We better
Sometimes we're not too excited.
Hey, Mr. Bradley.
All right, approval of minutes.
We've both.
Good there.
Yep.
Unanimous. Ordinance of resolution. Resolution 2022-07, a resolution to declare that Hendersonville is hiring 2022 event a city-sponsored event and to exempt associated signage from the city's sign regulations. I understand all that, but since our chamber president is here, I'm assuming she would like to address that. So, Madam Chamber President, Ms. Hall.
Well, thank you so much. Keith just got done saying, don't worry, you won't have to say a word.
He's not chairman.
No, that's fine. Keith, do you want to give him an overview or do you want me to jump in and kind of tell him what I want to do? I'll give him an overview and then you can. like,
Okay.
give all
Come
the
on up if
specifics.
you'd like.
Yeah, you can sit down there.
Kathleen. Sit by me.
Thank you. Can I? Thank you so
Yeah.
much, sir. Okay, so we're working together to try and create an environment where we're helping employers get as many employees as they possibly can. So we want to create a month-long event that is a hiring campaign and give the businesses the tools that they need to effectively market it. The chamber's goal is to also back that up with regional advertisement to draw people from surrounding areas to work in our businesses as well. And how we're proposing doing that is, Keith, do you want to kind of give them that?
Yes. So what we're doing is when 2 years ago, when we updated the zoning ordinance, we allowed in there for the city to be exempt from the sign regulations. But also we gave the opportunity for if the city is participating in something where you need signage, and this is a good example of it. And actually, this is something we actually even had in mind. Something like this could occur, but we might do it a lot of times where we're sponsoring or we're a part of an event like fireworks, or there might be some concert or something. And then when those projects are kind of under the wing of the city, then they can do some things that you can't typically do under the zoning ordinance. Everything is valid under the zoning ordinance because the authority to be able to be exempt for special events like this is within our zoning ordinance. But one of the things that it does require is a resolution. What I put in there was so that we just didn't have everything. It needed to be clearly something that was either sponsored or, you know, the city was heavily involved in for it to be exempt. And if it wasn't something that was super clear like this, then there needed to be a resolution so that it was very clear that BOMA could determine on a case-by-case basis that, yes, this is something that we're doing. In this case, this is something that I think the city kind of initiated the partnership with the chamber. Looking at the things, and this doesn't go crazy. These are very tastefully done signs, and they'll all be similar.
Formatted so that we
Yeah,
formatted.
as you can see the images right there. Now, the question might be, well, what are you getting to do that you wouldn't normally get to do anyway? Here's just a breakdown of what those things are. Well, first, you don't have to pay $25 permit for your temporary sign. Second, you can have a temporary sign just like the size of a lot of the signs that we have in here that you're able to do. But you know, you can only have those for a total of 45 days during the year. And this will not count toward their 45 days a year where they could have some other sign where they're having a special President's Day sale or Christmas or something like that. Also, on the banners, we're allowing banners, you know, even banners that are taught on rails or something.
T-post.
T-post. You know, normally we only allow banners up against the building. In this case, because of what we're trying to do on trying to get folks to know where to apply for jobs, we're allowing those banners out in the actual yards. And then we're limited to this. You can't just put this on somebody else's property, advertising your stuff. It has to be on your property. And if it's in a big shopping center, then, you know, somewhere on the extents of that shopping center. So that's kind of an overview of what you're getting there.
They will have rules to follow and guidelines to follow that they'll be given. If they come to the chamber, they'll be able to receive complimentary kits that the chamber will be funding that will be more generic, like what you see in your packet, that will still stay consistent with the brand. So people will see that it is an event happening all over town. If they want to customize it, they will have rules that they will have to follow where they can add their logo to it, but still stay within that look. They will register for the event, so we'll be able to supply them with a list of people that are participating in the campaign.
But a big part of the economic prosperity that we experience here in our community and the services, all the many services that are provided within our community, a lot of that's driven on staffing and driven on getting folks hired. And a lot of our businesses have been having, and it's no difficult. It's not just Hendersonville. This is something that's an issue across the country, especially in highly developing and sought out areas. So this is something I think could potentially have a significant benefit for a business that's trying to hire somebody. If this only helps them get 10 people interested in their specific businesses that wouldn't normally be hired, or they wouldn't normally be looking at that business for a job, I think that will be successful.
And just knowing that the city is supporting them in feeling their pain, I think is really, really relative and important.
I agree.
It's a beautiful branding. I love it.
Thank you.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
40 square feet, that's huge, isn't it?
It's pretty big, but we do allow, when you do a banner and put it on the building, it can be
It's
that
gotta be,
big.
it's gotta be on the building, right?
No, it can actually, normally we only allow those on the building, but we're letting them to come out in the yard just for this event. And this event is only during the month of March. This will not extend beyond the month of March. We really only see this being right now a once a year event. And really March seems like a pretty good time to do it.
It'll help them. It will help.
Any questions, Hayes?
I just know there's a real crisis throughout our country, but businesses need employees. So I think this is wonderful and I support it.
A second.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Great job with the artwork. and everything.
It is,
Y'all did a
yeah.
great job.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, resolution 2022-08, resolution of the city of Hendersonville, Tennessee, approving economic impact plan for the Chute Lane development area. Mr. Mayor.
I'm gonna turn it over to these three gentlemen.
Figured you probably would.
Thanks a lot. Y'all can sit up here, yeah. That's better.
Here to answer any questions you may have, but I'm Rich Riegling, Russell Riegling, and Kevin Kane, the developer. But this is in essence Hendersonville resolution that they would be part of this economic impact plan that allows for the capture of property taxes to repay the cost of building a new hockey ice facility and some of the related infrastructures on the what's called the goat farm development, I think, for lack of better words. And so as part of the process, the industrial board held a public hearing 2 weeks ago. It's all set out in state law, the procedures. And then prior to the final approval, each of the cities, both Gallatin, Hendersonville, and the county commission have to approve a similar resolution that's before you today in order to put this into effect and allow for the project to go forward. But at the end of the day, it's going to create, we think this project is going to create a lot of economic activity. The ice facility will be managed by the Nashville Predators hockey team, so it'll be branded by them. And they see this as being an extension of their whole marketing effort to promote ice and hockey in Middle Tennessee, based on what's happened at the two facilities in Bellevue, the one in Bellevue and the one in Antioch. There are numerous tournaments, numerous events bringing in people literally from all over the country to play in these tournaments, stay in hotels here in Hendersonville and Sumner County, and also eat at restaurants and shops. So we think this is a great project for the community, and would hope that you would look favorably upon this. And we're here to answer any questions. Kevin can address more specifically questions about the development, what's going to happen on the goat farm. And then Russell and I can answer any particulars you might have about how the structure is put together and just kind of where we go from here.
Yeah, if you want, I can kind of give you a broad overview of sort of the scope of the project and where it came from. My name's Kevin Kane, Stratus Development, and my family, we've lived here in Hendersonville since 2004. I've got 3 kids, and where this project started was really looking for outlets related to recreational activities in the city of Hendersonville and in the surrounding areas. And so we've been working on this for several years now with the Predators. And the objective is really to increase the accessibility of those options, but also to use it as an anchor to create a development that's also going to draw in people from surrounding areas, enhance the quality of life of people that currently live here, or as we were talking about, also bringing in folks and saying, this is an improvement to your quality of life. This is a great place to live, and these are the amenities that we have to offer. So what we've already seen throughout this process is a great deal of interest from folks from Nashville, some of those brands that you're going to recognize, wanting to come up here in sort of a new concentrated energy for the county really as a whole. It's a county-wide project, which is really unique for us. And so that's sort of the vision. We're still working out the particulars of what all the buildings are going to look like. Where are they all going to be placed, and how is everything going to interact? But in terms of improvement in the Hendersonville area, we are improving the roadway along Chute Lane, which you could argue is or is not a Hendersonville street. It's a unique property. We're really divided into 3 ways between the county, Gallatin, and the city. But we also understand that Hendersonville citizens on a daily basis use those roadways. Their children go to Jack Anderson Elementary. We're working hard to alleviate a lot of those issues, donating land back to the elementary school so that they can alleviate, again, some of those issues. We're studying currently the Hendersonville parcel, which is what it would be included from this. We're not sure exactly what we're going to put there, but we are studying it. We're expecting that feasibility study back this week probably, and we can fill you in as we're going through the process there. But we are looking at additional recreational facilities there. It may be court space, it may be turf space, but lots of different options. But we do probably not pickleball.
Pretty popular.
I'm with you.
It's very popular, but it doesn't make
Really
money. And so, we're looking at the development as sort of a retail and recreational anchor and utilizing the sports activity facilities to draw people in. And one of the reasons that we located this particular parcel is the accessibility to Vietnam veterans. It's a 2-lane off-ramp dumping directly to the site. So when people are coming and going, they're getting directly back on Vietnam veterans, which you could argue is undersized currently. But it's better than going through the streets here. It's better than burdening, a lot. And it's also bringing in revenue that we currently just don't see. There's going back to Bellevue and Antioch, they average about 1.1 million people a year to each of those sites. And we would expect this to do about the same.
It's pretty amazing. On weekends, you'll see all kinds, every age group of kids, and you'll look in there, the license plates will be from hundreds of miles away, traveling there to play hockey. It's
they hold the Canadian American tournament every year. They have people coming out of Canada to Nashville just playing the tournament on an annual
Yeah, I think
basis.
we realize that more now because of the rugby complex we have, and we've had people from all over the United States been there. The inline hockey rinks that we have, we've had tournament there back in Andy, December. Folks from all over the United States, so there's no doubt that folks, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah,
correct.
That sounds like a good line, be a good line to move.
You might want to use that one.
Right,
Right.
write that
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Good questions. Yes, sir.
The resolution is the same in Gallatin as it is here.
It would be identical. Yeah, it just obviously says Gallatin Board instead of Hendersonville, but they're all doing, and the county will adopt the same thing.
One won't deviate from the other.
No, it'll be the same. The bond council, the county IDB, all this ultimately will be handled by the County Industrial Development Board, and they've hired Mark Mamontoff, who's a bond lawyer with Bassberry and Sims, their Knoxville office, and Mark has drafted these documents, and because he's done these transactions in other jurisdictions, so it's all the same. Everybody, Gallatin will be giving up their portion of the property tax. Less debt service. Hendersonville gives up its portion of the property tax. You maintain your debt service component of your budget, and the county will be doing the same. So everyone's It's sort of, in some ways it's very unique, but it's all three jurisdictions kind of in it together to do this community project.
I'd like to hear from Keith. You got any comments?
No, I don't have any specific comments on this. I think as far as the share of how much land would be within the TIF on acreage in Hendersonville compared to the balance of Sumner County and Gallatin?
Much smaller, Hendersonville,
It's about 18 acres in the Hendersonville portion. It's
Okay.
about 21 in Gallatin. It's about 28 in
Okay.
the county.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have.
Computer speed?
I think it's significant that Kathleen has stuck around because she sees this as a benefit to our businesses. There's no doubt about that. I think also significant is that the 3 acres that they're going to give to Jack Anderson School, otherwise these 3 acres could probably fit 8 or 10 houses on. And because they're going to donate to the school, that gives us the school some opportunity there.
And I think it is, and this has been something in the work for several years. But it's really unique opportunity how the property lays in regards to where Hendersonville is, where Gallatin is, and where the balance of the county is located. So actually strategically where it's located, there really isn't any place like that. So it definitely, in looking at a partnership to TIF this definitely looks, and especially looking at the distribution,
Yeah.
it's a fair distribution for what the end result would be.
Approximately, what's the estimate time that this would be paid off?
So kind of the last model that we did was probably around year 22. Now we're kind of analyzing that based on current today
Okay.
revenue. So that doesn't account for reappraisals.
Yeah.
It doesn't account for property tax.
Part of it will depend on what ultimately is built on the Hendersonville site.
Yeah.
because That's still unknown.
Absolutely.
We sort of know what's going to go on the Gallatin site within reason in the county site. So we can estimate those taxes, pretty well. But what's going to go on Hendersonville will be sort of the missing piece until that goes back through the zoning process. And then you have to take into account reappraisal, as Kevin said, reappraisals and future potential tax increases. So you don't really know. It's kind of hard to predict, but I think you're right. Somewhere in the 20 to 25 year range is probably what the hope is. It authorizes for up to 30 years because obviously we want to build in a little cushion, but it's in everyone's best interest for it to generate taxes as soon as possible to pay it all off.
And to that end, since we have not planned the Hendersonville parcel, we're also not allocating any of that debt service from the Hendersonville portion currently. So to your point, it would be decreasing that timeline.
Right. And you all probably know, but the most successful TIF ever in the state of Tennessee was done previously here in Hendersonville.
Mhm.
And it was paid off early. And so we've got a great track record in that regard. And I know each of you, and I'm confident that you're going to do a great development. But with that said, that's the good news. The bad news is this: as great as that last TIF was, there was some negativity around it. And so in terms of being transparent, I ask that you diligently give as much information as you can to the city, and we will give that to the public as where we are, where we stand, and just, I'm not sure what else we can do, but it was a great TIF, and yet there's still some people that are unhappy.
Having been involved in a lot of projects around Middle
Yes, sir.
Tennessee over the last decade,
Richard, talk to us.
you can't make everybody happy, but
No.
you have to do what you think is good for your community and go forward. But I think to protect that, this is a little different structures because Randy Smith and his developing and his partners are going to actually build the project and then deed it over to the Industrial Development Board after it's built. And so before they could ever start the TIF process, there's got to be full accountability of every dollar that was spent. And so the public will have that built-in protection, knowing that they're going to get an accountability, and we'll work on how they can review contracts and all that. I mean, I think the idea is, Randy and Kevin, they want to be completely transparent in this process, and we're going to build in safeguards to make sure as much as possible, we can convince the public that everything was being done I can't promise you we're going to convince 100% of the people that everything was done right, but it's going to be done right. I mean, just, knowing their reputations, Mr. Smith built his company here in Hendersonville. He's not going to do anything he's not going to do anything that would in any way jeopardize that. But we will make sure that you get the information so that your lawyers, your finance people, everyone can see that, that the money went for the infrastructure and the ICE facility, which is what it's designed to do.
Again, I think it is interesting that Kathleen is with us from the chamber, and as the mayor just mentioned, and our director of parks, but I love telling people this, but our city is collecting more sales tax every single month. It continues to increase year over year. And so we're very grateful that most of our residents, they shop here, and we're so glad. And we want that to continue because that helps us keep taxes low. So this is a time where we're willing to share, but it benefits us at the same time. So we're very grateful for all of your hard work and your diligent prudence in putting this together.
It's taken a while, okay? It's been a bit. I was trying to think the first time you and I talked about this, it seems like
Several years.
you didn't have a beard.
It was pre-pandemic. I had one less
It
child.
was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, we both have less.
Yeah, we had less children. So, yeah, it's fine.
Sometimes it takes a while for good things to
Talking about
happen.
the 20 to 25 years, I can say probably for me, and maybe to the gentleman to my left, we might not even be around in 20, 25 years.
Thank you.
Maybe even the gentleman to my right. I don't-
4 more years.
4 more
Four
years.
more years.
I think we probably beat this goat enough.
That goes.
I would move that we approve this and move it on to the board. Second by Mr. Warner. All in favor from this committee, say aye. Aye. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
gentlemen.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't know, what is your time frame? When do you need that? Do you need that tonight?
That's a better question. for Rich.
I wasn't gonna push y'all.
Am I allowed to say something now, Jay?
Sure.
No, you can't talk.
No, I'm not allowed to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Distribute to the county.
So I
Is that
can
what
tell
it
you, and I'm
was?
not sure if it's relevant or
We'll
not
figure
to you,
it out.
but
That's- we wanna-
Gallatin has already approved and the county has already approved. So Hendersonville is the missing piece. And I can tell you that I just attended a Tennessee State ECD class where they reviewed this TIF. In that class is a great example of, like, they taught, like, there were people from all over the state, city leaders, which was kind of neat to see that in play.
Henderson, Gallatin has, I forgot, Gallatin has already approved it.
Gallatin's already approved
They approved it.
and
at the
county
last
IDA.
meeting. Yeah, and then the county will take it up on the 14th and 28th next month. So hopefully at the end of the month, we'll have all.
Can we put it on?
Rich,
I'm fine with it.
Alderman Brown's question was, when do we need this? Do we need it tonight?
Yeah, and the only, if you need it tonight, I think we can add it and get it
I don't
done. If
think
you
it's
don't need
critical.
it tonight, in 2 weeks is fine. I would say we'd probably be better waiting in 2 weeks to,
Yes, wait 2 weeks.
some folks think we rush things.
Yeah, there's a.
You know, but there is time frames that we get behind and we don't get it done quick enough. So
The
I wanna make
county,
sure-
the county.
I feel like we want to get it done. I want to get it done as soon as you need it done.
The county couldn't, the county schedule is to approve it on the 28th, I think is their next, is their meeting,
Yeah.
27th, maybe, 20 whatever that is. And so you meet before then. So that's, the next
Okay,
meeting.
that's I'll be on there in 2 weeks.
Let's just wait, we can answer.
We'll
Start
start
the
it.
transparency.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, resolution 2022-09, a resolution supporting the restoration of the historical state shared sales tax relationship and the increased single article cap revenue sharing relationship between the state of Tennessee and local governments. You have to read that very slowly.
We're asking the state for more money.
We're asking the state for more money. That's what it simply says.
And they owe it to us.
Whether they'll give that or not, I guess that's up to the legislature.
Jason has prepared the video that that TML provided us.
Yeah.
It's a great explanation. In fact, my explanation that you have in your staff report was written from that video. If you want to see it, it's ready. If not, I can speak, or you can just move forward however your will is.
I would move forward.
I'll second it.
What I'm reading is that's amazing. Increase the revenue to 973,000.
That's what we would essentially be asking for per year.
You okay with that?
I'm okay with it. Shut up and
We
go
have
home.
a motion and a second. All in favor by this committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good.
Thank you.
That was easy.
Let it talk.
All right. We have a resolution 2022-10, amending the job classification list and pay table with respect to payroll coordinator position and creating 2 new positions. Coming out of Mr. Eckenroth's office and our budget. I do want to amend that. There wants to be discussion on that before I put my amendment in, that's fine, or I can go ahead and amend.
Please do that first.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, the amendment also would be to add to reclassify the public safety senior administrative coordinator position from a grade 14 to a grade 15 and retitle the position to public safety office manager. It affects 2 employees, 1 in fire and 1 in police.
Can you state that just one more time and
Sir,
minutes? Also include.
reclass the public safety senior administrative coordinator position from grade 14 to grade 15 and retitle the position to public safety office manager, a PSOM.
Got it.
PSOM. Director Roth, you want to address those, all 4 of those a little bit, what we've got in there and why we're doing that?
Yeah.
Let's figure we've got time.
Yeah, so during the mid-year budget process, we wanted to look at several positions that department heads felt had their job had materially changed. So I received feedback from department heads on those positions where there were material changes. And then we sent those positions to someone who outside the city matches job descriptions with salary grades. And we just reviewed the new job descriptions against current market salary grades. He recommended some upticks, which we presented to BOMA. So again, it's for material differences and job descriptions that have changed. And then we've just matched it to the most comparable market rate that's out there.
As we should.
Yes, sir.
That would increase, there's a minimum, would increase that salary for that one.
Yeah, one position that 2 people have. There's a fire personnel and there is a police personnel with the, there's currently senior administrative coordinator. And it would go from a grade 14 to a grade 15. They essentially work as office managers. And when we sent it to the pay consultant, he's like, well, this is an office manager. And I said, yes, it is. We call it a senior administrative coordinator, but it's an office manager. So
It goes from 14 to what?
Goes from 14 to 15. 5% for their salary.
yes, sir.
I don't know what that is overall in the budget, but all 4 of those is probably what, 20, 25,000 cost.
Probably not. It's probably less
Probably
than
not
that.
even.
Yeah, it's a pretty small amount.
Can you discuss, share with us the new position for the parks?
Yeah, so one of the positions we looked at was, we have a vacant position in our parks. So what Mr. Gilly did is he looked at the job description and then he went and he interviewed that person who was in that position before they left to see what they actually do on a day-to-day basis. And what they actually did was much more involved than what the job description that they were hired for was. So we updated the job description with the actual items that that person does. And then we sent that off to the pay consultant to have them reconsider that position. So we're not asking for a new body. We're going to keep both positions. If we don't have the availability to hire someone at the new position, we might have to hire them at the previous position, but we don't really want to limit ourselves and not have the option. So we're not asking for a new body, but we are asking for the option to hire someone at the grade that matches the actual job that they would be doing.
What's the pay grade now?
14, I believe it's a 14, so bump up to a 15. Yeah. So a lot of times those, the salary grades jump up about 5% for each grade. Is that 14?
This is the.
The park.
I have to go back and look.
I think it was a 14. It's a pretty,
Yeah, so the starting hourly rate at grade 15 is $21.81. So again, it, in my mind, it didn't matter so much what they were getting paid. It was more appropriate to pay them what their job description actually is. So that's what we asked the pay consultant to evaluate.
I think it'd be a good position for Andy.
It would
I'll
be.
take it.
Take 7.5% cut and go to that job.
Just kidding.
Any questions? Any more questions? All in favor of resolution 2022-10 as amended, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? No.
No. Mr. Eckenroth, how many months have you been with us now?
9.
9 months.
Yes, sir.
You have been doing a great job. Just want you to know how much we appreciate your efforts. I know you're trying to backfill some positions, and I know you're burning the candle on both ends. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Amen to that.
Yes.
I just try and work as much as Keith and Andy do, and if I can get halfway there, I figure I'm doing all right.
Yeah, throw Andy into mine, it brings my average up. That's good. I'll take that.
Doesn't have a wife or dog. I keep saying that to him, and he's not responded to it. And
Thank you, man.
all right, resolution 2022-11, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute revised lease agreement regarding the Mont Haven property. So we're going to look at Mr. Bradley, and you are our attorney. Spend a minute on that.
Well, several months ago, an issue came up with the Arts Council having to do with the property that's in front of Mont Haven there, at least part of the property where they wanted to put, there was a desire to put a parking lot there for the car dealership. And as a result of that, some issues came up about whether or not they even still had a lease with the city, because there was language that said that if they hadn't met certain benchmarks within 2 years, that the lease would have expired of its own terms. And that is what the lease says, and you could argue that they haven't met those benchmarks, but that's not really the point. The point is, they have come up with a proposal to change the lease where it's for 25 years, as it was going to be initially. And then instead of with the Arts Council, it's with the Mont Haven Arts Cultural Center. And because they're the ones that are really running things now. But if you look at the language in it, it does still leave open the possibility of us having a functioning Arts Council. I talked to Mr. Pitcher, who's the chairman of the Arts Council, and he said that they think that's important to do that, at least certainly for local events. It'd be nice to have attorneys and organize all of them to serve on that. Right now, I think there are only a couple of people that have been appointed, so we need to fill those vacancies if we're going to move forward with that. Otherwise, the agreement basically just gives the Mont Haven Arts and Cultural Center the same rights that we were going to give the Arts Council in the lease we signed in 2018 or 2019.
Yes, a simple question. If you do that, what type of control does that take away from us, or what? I know a lot of that discussion was we're leasing it for where it was $1 a year, I think.
For no money.
Yeah, for no money, but we were still supplying landscaping, maintenance, so on and so forth.
I think they're more and more moving toward providing virtually all of that themselves. They still hope, of course, to get an appropriation each year for the city. And they said that the city's appropriation has been used primarily to pay expenses on Mont Haven, such as utilities and things like that. This past year, they had approximately $500,000 budget. Next year, they hope to have a $600,000 budget. So they're trying to move beyond just being a local arts council to be more of a regional arts center for this area.
Yeah, they're doing some big things and good things. We got Valentine's all weekend and dances and dinners and so forth. But,
Valentine's is a big time.
my only concern, and I don't have a problem doing this because I voted on a lease for it before, but I'd like to see, if we're going to appropriate whatever we're going to appropriate, I don't remember what it is, but we'll say $100,000, and we've got, and I know it's not that much, but if we're going to do all the maintenance and everything as well, that's going to start figuring dollars in there too. So I'm sure we move this on to the board, that's going to be brought up and discussed pretty hard.
Well, I think what they anticipate is having a relationship like we have with the Senior Citizen Center now.
Yeah.
We've got the same long-term lease with them, but we have no control over them. This would really give us no control over Mont Haven. We still could control the Arts Council, but the agreement says that they'll cooperate with the Arts Council, and the Arts Council can still use Mont Haven to the extent they need to, in accordance with the agreement of the parties. So it's primarily the MACC, they call it, is being put in control.
Mhm.
And this, if you recall, it's a 501c3 that was set up really without the involvement or knowledge, I might add, of the city a few years ago by the then executive director. And they're sort of moving more and more toward having full control with that entity instead of the Arts Council. Like, I think the board of directors of the entity, MACC, may only have 1 or 2 members that were ever appointed by the board to the Arts Council. So I'm not sure exactly how many of those there are, but that's the idea. That's their proposal. That's what they have requested of us, to approve this, to assign the rights of the Arts Council to the Mont Haven Arts and Cultural Center.
25 years.
And if we don't approve this, where are we at?
We can continue to let them use it as they have for the past many, many years without a lease. Now, they didn't have a lease for a long time, until 2-3 years ago when we approved the lease that was gonna, we were gonna relook at it in 2 years, and if they hadn't, they were gonna acquire land, they were gonna do a lot of things. According to this picture, they do have some land under contract. So they're hoping to buy, I think, 4 acres around this property.
Mhm.
But of course, as long as the city owns the house and the acre, it's going to affect their ability to ever borrow money to build things or whatever, because as long as the city's the owner, of course, they cannot pledge the city property as security or mortgage.
I think the main thing they want is just tie down the time, the term.
They feel like for their grants and things they're trying to get involved with, that they need to be able to show that they've got a place and a location for a long time.
Yeah.
Kind of like the reason we want to approve the parks agreement with the Corps of Engineers, so we can show that we've got a commitment for a long term. So we're in opposite roles there, but the same issue.
I agree.
Mr. Bradley, thank you for your ability to keep things simple for me, your ability to explain all of this.
You're welcome.
I'm not gonna ask you how many months you've been here, but thank you, sir, for all your,
Thank you.
your abilities. I think this is good. I think I can support it. It's better than not having anything, which is what we had before.
I don't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah, okay. Are we,
I mean,
Well, we got a couple options.
okay.
Just vote and leave it what's there, or we can send it back to the captain to look at it a little bit more.
I would just suggest, I know that people from the MAC or Mr. Pitcher would be happy to come and discuss it with the committee. I'm just not sure if that's something you want to do or not, but I'm sure they'd be willing to do that.
I think you've covered that yourself.
I think I said what it
I don't
does.
think you can add anything to it.
The only thing I would like to see in that lease, if they're going to lease that, and their budget's gonna be $600,000 a year, I personally don't feel like it's good a value of tax dollars to be leasing that to them for $1, having our guys mow the grass, trim the bushes, do the mulching, and taking care of the entire facility. You know, and then give them appropriation on top of that. I would say that to anybody. If that was my business, I would expect somebody to say that to me. So I would like to, I'm good with it, but I would like to see language where they take care of the entire maintenance of the building. If they're going to utilize it, they're going to borrow money off of this lease, and so forth.
Since I'm the sponsor of this, I'll talk to them about that, and then we'll have them come to the board and speak on it.
That would be my concern. You know, I'm fine with the lease, but
Yeah.
you know,
One of
we're
the things
going to
we,
give you an appropriation. They already know that.
Mhm.
And then we're going to need to take care of trimming the bushes and stuff. You know,
we do, so for a while, we didn't go over there regularly. And now that we go over there regularly, we have a better idea of how well they're maintaining it. So there's value in us going over there occasionally. So it definitely is.
I think we still have it right
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
as the landlord.
Yep, absolutely. So I'll talk to them about adding that language in there and talk with John about how we would do that. And if they have a problem with that, then we'll have them come up and explain that.
Are you satisfied with the term? 25 years?
Yeah, I think probably they have to have a 20 or 25-year term to accomplish what they want to. But if they don't accomplish that part of that in a certain period of time, we're back to where we were again.
Have they had a term before?
The agreement that was approved in 2018, I think the mayor executed January 2019. I think these dates are correct. It was for 25 years. But it said that if in 2 years they hadn't met these benchmarks about
Yeah.
buying land, that it automatically terminated. So,
Yeah.
so we had agreed to give them a 25-year lease. This one's not with the Arts Council. This is with the MAC this time.
Yeah.
They're doing that assignment. And from my discussions with them about this, I really don't think they'll have a problem with assuming the maintenance of the facility. I think they feel like they're sort of doing that anyway. I know the city spends a lot of money out there, so we might need to hammer that down, be a good idea. And the mayor can talk to them and we'll figure it out.
No, no, wait, I agree with that. What the mayor said.
You sure you said?
Yes. So we'll move it. I guess we.
Yeah, all in favor of moving this forward to the board with the caveat that the mayor will be discussing in the next couple of weeks before it gets to the floor about the MAC picking up basically all the maintenance of the grounds and the buildings and so on and so forth. With also, and you know, leases are leases, but we are the landlord, so we can, you know, if we want to put periodic inspection in there, go look at the building, I guess we could do that also. So, but if you do that, I think we move it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, okay. Last but not least, we still got time. I've got discussion of reestablishing on beautiful Hendersonville down here. We discussed that a few weeks ago, talked to the mayor about it yesterday. Beautiful Hendersonville is still there. It's just all the terms ran out and nobody got replaced, and so it's still sitting there. So the only thing we need to do to kind of get it back going, which some of us want to, Ward 5 has a great lady that's got a lot of energy that wants to be on that. I know a couple people in Ward 4 that have spoke about it before. I'll have to talk to see who that is, but all we need to do is nominate somebody from each ward, and a mayoral appointment, 7 people, and beautiful Hendersonville is going again. They still have money in their line item. There were some questions before about the finances and how they were being taken care of. Robert had some issues with getting the information he wants. That's all taken care of. Robert is on that account now, so he can get whatever information he needs to get from that account. So beyond discussion, in my report tonight, or whenever the mayor wants to do it, I think probably my report, we're going to ask people to get ward appointments ready in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So springtime gets here, flowers get blooming, Hendersonville gets beautiful.
They've done a good job in the years past.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody
Thank you.
want to address that? I'm good with it.
Mr. Chairman, while you're soliciting people to find members, you might ask them to find members for the Arts Council too, if we approve that lease.
Yes, sir. I'd be glad to do that.
Good job. Yep. Who adjourned?
Okay,
I'll second.
all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Good job. Good job. Thank you, Chairman.